There's the old house that we moved down here when I was 10 years old. But to me, it's home. That's where I've spent most of my years. That little barn there, I was 12 whenever we built that, so that was 45 years ago. It's still standing. I think the pond's still there. We dug that out about the same time because we had cattle all in this field here. And that old house, when we moved in, there was no running water, no bathroom, nothing. You had an outhouse out in the backyard, and in the winter, that first winter, snow would come in around the windows and stuff, and we put all the siding on it, new windows, put a bathroom and running water in it. And then, of course, them two barns there wasn't there when we lived here. There was a big weeping willow tree where that big barn is, and there was a bunch of pine trees in there, so we climbed up in the weeping willow tree all the time. And then this trailer here wasn't here either whenever we lived down here, but we had a lot of fun down here. Now on this side of the road, on this other side of the road, there was an old house there. It had been abandoned for years. And when our cousins or somebody would come down to visit, we'd take them over there, me and my brother, at nighttime, or when it was starting to get dark, and tell them it was haunted and stuff, so that there was ghosts in there. And but
trying to scare them.
Yeah. But yeah, to me, there's ponds. There's a pond back in this field over here, a pond in that field over there. I fished all of them. All these ponds around here, we used to go fishing in. And we had a little 100cc motorcycle that we rode through all these fields around through here. Okay, this part here is the old high school. The elementary I went to, they tore down when they built the new school over there, but this was the old high school, and it was actually bigger than that, and they tore a lot of it down too. They kept the gym because the junior high plays basketball, and I think they have some wrestling and stuff that they do in there, so. Then the big football field, and they just redid it. I seen on Facebook where they put artificial turf down.
Little country school's getting getting fancy.
I don't know why they did that, but whatever. So we'll show you the new school, which is right over there.
Got the football players out practicing.
Yeah, and that kind of stinks this year because they said the only people that's going to be allowed to go to football games this year, high school, is the parents of the kids. And I always tried to come down for at least one game here and watch them. And now I guess this year I'm not going to get to. So this is all the high school, junior high, and elementary, all in one building now.
Slow down so I can roll the window down, honey, because the window is dirty. Nice school, isn't it?
I don't know what part is what. I've always wanted to come down for a basketball game and look around, but I haven't made it yet.
You know they're country schools when they put them all three in together.
Yeah. So they tore down the two elementary schools and junior highs, schools when they built this one, and now they've got it all at one spot, which I guess is all right. It saves busing and stuff, because they probably all ride the bus at the same time now, instead of having pick up high school and then take the same route and pick up the smaller kids. So it's a pretty good sized school now.
It sure is. Oh, here's the elementary part, it says, honey.
Yeah. Well, you know, they put 2 elementary schools into the one, so.
Very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Now, there was the one farmhouse that we come past before we got to our house, and the old farmhouse is gone. They tore it down and built some big fancy new house there, but me and my brother used to help out at that farm every year baling hay. And man, there were some days we'd start at 6 o'clock in the morning and not get done until 9 o'clock at night. And it was hot and dirty, but we made, you know, a little bit of money to spend during the summer and stuff. And so then, like I said, we had cattle at our house, and we'd get them when they's 3 days old, raise them up until they's old enough to butcher. And we had 7 head at one time there. So we had some fun sled riding down that big hill there. Everybody, all the neighbors around, kids around would come and sled ride down that hill. We'd have 10, 15 people over there when my cousins and everybody would come down, and we'd all be sled riding down through there. And we had a dog, Major, part collie and part shepherd, and he would run down that hill after you and chase after you and try to wreck you as you was going down the hill. He'd be biting at the back of the sled.
That's what Willow would do.
Yeah, tried to wreck you. So it was good times. Like I said, we moved down there when I was 10 years old, but to me it's home. It's my favorite place that I've lived.
A perfect time for a kid.
Yeah. We spent, you know, back then you didn't have all these games and stuff, so we spent 90% of the time outside.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially in the summer. And there's my 2 sisters and me and my brother. So there's 4 of us, and then cousins come down. We'd have baseball games and football games and everything else out in that field, and cows running right around with you. So
Yeah.
Okay, this little building here was a grocery store when I went to church. I seen that church. I went to school, and every morning, my junior and senior year, I went to vocational school, and I went for computers, which I don't know anything about computers now, but so I went there for, you know, went to vocational school. Well, every day our bus would come this way to go there, and our bus driver would stop at that store every morning and let us out, and we, all of us kids that was on the bus at that time, would go and buy milk and donuts and everything and cigarettes. You know, back then you could buy cigarettes even no matter how old you was. And
Matter of fact, that school let you smoke.
yeah, the vocational school had a smoking area, so my junior year I never ate lunch because I was out in the smoking area the whole time. But so we would get off, all of us, and go in and get whatever we wanted to eat, and have some of us would buy cigarettes and stuff. And I remember Mom found my cigarettes one time, and she told me, she goes, "I don't care if you smoke." I was like, well, 16, 17 years old. She goes, "I don't care if you smoke, but I ain't buying them for you." Little did she know at that time that she was buying them because I was using my lunch money to buy cigarettes. So she was still buying them. She just didn't know at that time until years later that that's what I was doing. So, but I remember that every morning. And then if people would act up and wouldn't listen to the bus driver, she wouldn't stop. She'd just go right on by. And the next day, everybody was behaving at it the next day because they wanted to stop and get donuts and stuff. So
That was a good way to teach them.
yep, it was. Talking about the house, the only stove in the kitchen was an old wooden or old cook stove that burned wood. It wasn't electric or gas or anything. You burnt wood, and so that's what Mom cooked on, even in the summer and stuff. And I remember she'd can. We grow gardens and stuff, and she would can and everything. And man, it'd be so hot in that house. And back then you didn't have air conditioners and stuff. You had fans that you turned on and opened up the windows. Other than that, you sweated. Mm-hmm. And but Mom used to cook dinner all the time, and we'd have relatives come down on the weekends, and she'd cook a big dinner, or Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner and stuff. She'd cook it all in that. And it didn't take long for stuff to get done, because I remember her telling me a while back that my oldest sister went to bake a cake and put it in, and Mom yelled at her a couple minutes later and told her, "You better get in here and get this cake or it's going to burn." And it was only in there for less than 5 minutes and it was done. But that also helped heat the house, because we just had an old fuel oil furnace and there was no heat upstairs. So in the winter, you had a couple of blankets on you and to stay warm.
Probably more than a couple.
Yeah, but so yeah, we did all that canning, and I always teased Mom because I told her that one summer she canned 500 and some quarts of green beans, and I got sick of them because we ate green beans for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She says she only canned 100 and some quarts, but I'm telling you, we ate green beans for years. So, but yeah, we had a lot of good times down there, us kids growing up.
What shift did your dad work?
He worked swing shifts, so one week he was on days, the next week on evenings, next week on third. He worked at the steel mill, and so it wasn't, well, let's see, we moved down there in 73. I think it was in 76. And 76 or 77. That Dad was at work and a scaffolding broke, and he fell 20 feet first onto a concrete floor, busted up both of his feet, and they had to put pins and rods and stuff in him, told him he'd never walk again, and it wasn't, I bet it wasn't 6 months, he was already up walking and stuff. And he could get around. If he was on his feet a lot during the day, they would swell up and he'd have to put them up, recline back in the chair and have them elevated in the evenings and stuff. But then after all that, he was on workers' comp and stuff, and about 4 years after that, they took him off of workers' comp and he had to go back to work, even though his feet were still not real good. But so yeah, we did a lot down there, that house. It was horrible when we moved in. I mean, we loved it though, moving out into the country like that and stuff. Us kids didn't care what it looked like or anything. And
yeah, kids don't usually.
No.
Now, did your mom have that wood cooking stove the whole time?
Yeah, that's all we ever had was a wood burning cook stove.
Man, that would be hard to learn to cook on.
Yeah, you had to watch your food whenever you cooked in it. Mm-hmm. Turkeys and stuff, it didn't take that long. or just not put as much wood in them and not make them so hot and stuff when you're cooking. But
Yeah, because I'd be worried about the outside being burnt and raw in the middle.
yeah, oh, there'd be times that stove would be glowing red that
Oh my.
it'd be so hot. And so yeah, you had to watch it and make sure it didn't get too hot for stuff. But we did good. Okay, so we're on our way back home now. We stopped and dropped off a couple dozen eggs and some tomatoes and stuff at Nina's one aunt's house down there, and so now we're headed home. And I told her, I go, I am tired and I don't know why, but I think I'm going to go home and lay down for a half hour or so and then get up and go pick some beans and stuff. So all right, well, thanks for listening to me, and everybody have a good day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.